I love it. You know, there's some mornings when it's not so pleasant, but I'm not meant to be in an office. My office is out on Lake Superior, and that's most enjoyable. I've always been an early morning person, and we get out to the nets really before the sun comes up, usually when there's just enough light to find things out there.
When you put as much blood, sweat, tears, passion as my family does into the product that we make, seeing someone put that much passion into it for the finished product is such an incredible thing.
I'm pretty passionate about that quality element, and I think we created a community around people that want this.
We've been working quite a bit the past few years with a local farm, a pig farm specifically called Y-Ker Acres. And they've been making a lot of great products.
Our main goal is to let our pigs be pigs, which means they have access to run around and play. They have access to dig in the dirt and eat stuff. They're out in the elements, you know. 90% of their life, depending on if they were born in the colder months when they maybe were in the barn with mom and when the season wasn't best for them to be born in the field. The other piece is just that they only have 2 to 3 bad seconds in their existence. We've worked really hard to make sure that the last moments for them are respectful and done quickly and humanely. Because at the end of the day, we do realize that what we're doing is taking a life to create food for other people, and probably nobody understands that more than we do.
So when you eat the meat from an animal that was raised in its natural or as close to its natural environment as possible in a completely stress-free environment, you're passing that energy on to yourself. That you're passing on that serenity and that connection to the land and that rightness.
I went to college in Bozeman, Montana. When I was there, I was trying to figure out what I was homesick for, if you will. You know, was it the cooking or the family or whatever, and all those things play a role, but I think there's something about Lake Superior that has this motherly, homing quality.
I don't feel like I ever take it for granted being right here next to the lake, but it definitely gets easy when you're living here to just feel really comfortable with it being there, and then when you go somewhere else, realize how special it really is and how much you kind of miss it when it's not there.
It's an amazing place. We have beautiful, some of the cleanest, freshest water in the world. Amazing fisheries, amazing outdoor activities where we can ride our mountain bikes for 100 miles within the city of Duluth.
I think a lot of mountain people get drawn to the mountains, and I think a lot of people here, there's this thing out here that's just kind of like a bearing. You know, there's true north, but then there's that lake. It's almost bizarre where you always have this association. You always know where the lake is relative to wherever you are. It just kind of like brings you home.
It's truly a special place, and it brings along the extra piece that we feel really responsible for making sure that we're not affecting water or air quality with our practices.
You know, and I think when you're kind of an entrepreneur or, you know, the boss or whatever, you're often pretty solitary and alone. And he's out there by himself, you know, no life jacket. If you tip over out there, it doesn't matter if you're floating, you're dying anyways. So those old timers, they go out. That's what they do.
Just say, I think there's some crazy Nordic genes running around in this body that went for it. I knew I wanted to get here somehow. I worked in Norway for a while in grad school, blah, 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 and all that, but eventually I got here. It's a good system. You have to find a master license. There are 25 master licenses on the North Shore to apprentice you, and it's a 2-year program. I lose track of time. It was like, I don't know, 30-some years ago now, 34 years ago, I guess. Yeah.
It's an uncomplicated life, but I think it's a good life. There's only a couple people commercially fishing the way that they do. They got a little skiff and they go pull nets, and that's kind of what they do. It's an old craft, kind of like cooking food from scratch is kind of an old craft too at this point. And I think as a chef of a small restaurant here on the shore, you're kind of alone in a lot of ways. You know, there's a community piece, you get your staff and your regulars, and that's all good, but they all go home, and there's that. So I think Steve and I both kind of, I don't know, sympathize, empathize, synergize on that quality of what we do. You know, and Matt was saying you didn't do it just to make money, you do it because it's what you think is the right thing to do. And
again, I don't want to be in an office or work 8 to 5. I'm totally independent. I'm the bookkeeper, the mechanic, the sailor, whatever. And I just love to be out in the water. So.
Anyway, so Steve is just always bringing fish, and kind of a Scandinavian dude, and comes in the back door with his slicker on and a bucket of fish and scales everywhere, and drops it off and says hi in his Scandinavian kind of nod. And I told him, just bring the fish in. You get them, I'll cook them. You know, he'd say, how many pounds you want? Whatever you can fit in my cooler. Whatever, we'll figure it out. You find a way to get it here, I'll find a way to sell it.
Eventually I got independent and came up here to Knife River, and so Scott was like one of my first customers. And you know, for Scott, it was just like, why wouldn't you buy local? That's just a no-brainer, you know. So I've been selling him fillets for a long time. They do a great fish sandwich there, herring sandwich. And the nice thing with Scott is he totally understands it. Some days you just don't have anything, you know, so it's an open system. When I got the fish, I show up.
We raced sled dogs for 12 or 13 years, all around the Midwest to begin with, and then all around the lower 48, and then culminating with we did the Iditarod. Our son Josie was getting to the age where we needed to kind of move out of the woods and move into a little civilization, and he was becoming pretty interested in riding his bike a lot, which I knew that meant he was going to want to race bikes. We'd already done some.
I was just getting into really serious bike racing, and I was starting to have to do qualifying races all over the country. And
we bought a piece of farmland just down the road from this farm, and moved there and built a small log cabin and kind of homesteaded and tried to find a job and did some things here and there, and nothing was really working out. And so then we just started growing a bigger and bigger garden, and then we started raising vegetables and selling them through a CSA. And then by this time Josie was getting to the place where he needed some pretty nice bikes.
was trying to fundraise for going to Belgium for my first time with Eurocross camp, and I just needed to, we're a very blue-collar family, we always have been, and biking's an expensive sport, so we started raising a couple pigs.
We bought him a bunch of feeder pigs and he sold those as pork shares to our vegetable customers.
I was at a cyclocross race and a guy named Mike Phillips came up to us and was like, hey, I really love what you guys are doing.
And he suggested we meet this friend of his who was doing whole hog charcuterie and he wanted to use local animals. And the two of us got to be friends, and he tried some of our pigs and asked us if we would send him 10 pigs a month. And I was like, sweet, I don't ever have to weed carrots again.
The farm, we just went with the flow, as we always do, and did what trusted our guts and worked really hard, and it's transformed into this incredible business and community of businesses and people, and it's opened my eyes to so many things. I mean, the connection that you have to the land as a farmer is such a eye-opening and humbling experience.
The farm is always, it's just kind of happened like that. We've never really forced anything. We've worked really hard, but we've let it have its own path and its own destiny. And it just has been very serendipitous, the whole journey.
My name is Scott Graydon. In Swedish, it'd be Gradin. I'm originally from Two Harbors, Minnesota. Moved away a few different places, came back, and I've been kind of a North Shore resident for the last 30 plus years of my adulthood. I'm the chef and proprietor of the new Scenic Café here in North Shore of Duluth.
The new Scenic Café is located right along the north shore of Lake Superior. It's about 8 miles up the shore from the outside edge of the city of Duluth.
I find that, back to what we were talking about with Matt, that it's romantic, being a farmer, with having a piece of wheatgrass in your mouth and walking down the field and got a cow that nuzzles you and stuff like that. And as a chef, having a restaurant and everybody thinks it's romantic and sexy and whatever. And I find even that notion of passion to be romantic. And I think about the idea, not that passion and purpose have to be juxtaposed, but they are different things. And I remember that I was deeply passionate about having the freedom to do my own stuff and make my own decisions and not be in front of a steering committee to make decisions about what food should be on the menu and that type of conversation. So I was passionate about doing it my way, being an artist and having that artistic freedom. And then I remember like 3 years into it, there's this overwhelming wash of change. And it was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I did it. I did it. Still got debt. I got a lot of people that are counting on me, and I started to realize that there was a purpose, and that was I needed to be here not just for myself as I originated, but I needed to be here for the people that we said, hey, look at what we're doing, and thank you for believing in us. And then take their money and run. It was like, no, thank you for believing in us. Now we're going to be here for you, because you gave us your seed money, your trust, your patronage, your love, your patience, all those things while we were working on our passion. And now it has to turn into this purposeful effort. And the purpose is to give this romantic notion to other people and make that fairy tale real for a lot of people. And I think about like the duck on the water, and the duck is skimming across smoothly, but underneath it's just flying. Or the whole iceberg notion where all you see is what's above water, and there's just so much more underneath that's there that you don't see. And I feel like that's kind of what parents do too with their kids, you have to present this calm energy and everything's fine, even though the world's crumbling below you at times. I think I'm still passionate about quality, and I think that was one of the things that we started on here, was to have quality. Not novelty, not focusing on unique, but having quality be the focus. People always ask you, chef, like, what do you love? What do you like to eat? And Honestly, there's certain ingredients that I'm not really nuts about, but when it really comes down to it, if it's prepared well, I think I'll really like it. So I'm passionate about quality of product, but quality of execution. So I think like the refinement of finding my voice, or my style, or my approach. I think my style is probably gone from really pushing kind of haute cuisine for this market into trying to find simplicity to speak to it. I'm not trying to have the food levitate off the plate, or it's not mysterious of what it is and all that kind of stuff. I think that has been something I've been honing in on. I remember sitting down at somebody was saying that, you know, we don't understand anything that's on your menu. Can you translate this into English? And it was like, well, it is English, you just don't know what it is. And it dawned on me that if it's that confusing for somebody to start off our relationship, it's probably not to my benefit, because I don't think people are coming here to intentionally feel confused. And I think we have to have enough commonality of understanding or ingredients or approach where you can find comfort with curiosity rather than ignorance and confusion. I think there's a stewardship model, there's a quality model, resourcefulness, awareness. You know, we were talking to Matt, and you know, he'll use the narrative of values. You know, his values around how pigs are treated and things like that, and that's a value statement. And there's a value around local. There's a value around fair trade. There's a value around organic. There's all these different values.
So adding all those things in together, you know, and trying to be stewards of the land, and making sure we're taking care of the water and the air, and having a minimum impact. And if our impact is anything, that it's a positive impact, that we're building soil, we're capturing carbon from the air by our practices. And at the end of the day, the biggest reward is that we on a regular basis have families reach out to us and say how grateful they are that they know that they can give their family food, and in particular pork or beef that was raised humanely. Being able to be a solution for that has been really meaningful, and it's really a powerful thing to know that you're feeding your friends, feeding your community, and helping their lives be better.
Do you love what you do?
I do, very much so. You know, yeah. The body's maybe not going to hold up much longer, but I do love it. Yeah, it gets in your blood, you know.
And I think when you can become one with your instrument, whether it's a kitchen or a farm or music or painting or whatever it might be, can you take all of those years of refinement and play it beautifully?